Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're really diving headfirst into the electric bicycle world, the mid-2020s.
Yeah, it's been quite a scene, hasn't it? A real roller coaster.
Absolutely. A huge boom and then, well, a pretty significant correction. We've got this 2025 bikeindustry.pdf report here, and it tells a fascinating story. Maybe a bit turbulent.
It really does. And, for anyone trying to quickly get a handle on what just happened, that massive growth, the challenge that followed, who's managing? Okay, that's exactly what we're going to unpack today.
Right. The goal is to pull out the key stuff, explain why things went sideways for some, maybe surprisingly, and just make sense of it all without getting totally lost in the weeds.
Exactly. Beyond the headline.
Okay, so let's rewind a bit. The pandemic. It feels like ages ago now, but suddenly e-bikes were just everywhere.
It was a really unique moment. You had lockdowns, right? So people needed individual transport. They wanted to get outdoors.
Because what else could you do?
Precisely. And the numbers, well, they speak for themselves. U.S. imports, for example, went from about 287,000 in 2019 to over 880,000 in 2021.
Whoa, that's more than triple in 2 years.
Yeah, an incredible jump. And it wasn't just the U.S.
No, I remember seeing things about Europe, too.
Absolutely. Europe saw sales clear 5 million units in 2021. Germany, the Netherlands, they were huge markets.
So global demand just exploded.
It did. Which naturally meant manufacturers, especially in China, had to ramp up production like crazy. And then came the investment.
The money follows the boom.
Always. Established companies expanded fast. VCs poured money into startups. Names you probably recognize, like VanMoof, Rad Power Bikes, Cowboy.
Right, they were suddenly household names almost.
Yeah, the feeling was just unstoppable growth. Blue skies everywhere.
There's always a but, isn't there? That kind of rapid growth often hits a wall. The next big thing was the supply chain nightmare, right?
Oh, yeah. A classic crunch. Just when everyone wanted an e-bike, the system needed to build them basically seized up.
Because of the pandemic itself.
Exactly. Key parts, the electric bits, Shimano drivetrains, Bosch motors, those crucial lithium-ion batteries, they became incredibly hard to get.
So the stuff that makes it an e-bike.
The very stuff. Lead times went from weeks to, months, sometimes even a year. It really showed how fragile things were, Specialized parts from specific places, boom, bottleneck.
The report mentions Deloitte finding issues with shipping containers, ports clogged up, just logistical chaos.
A little chaos. And it wasn't just shipping. Places like Taiwan, P for high-end bikes, they had their own issues, labor shortages, export problems. And you had folks like Tony Lowe, former CEO of Giant, saying, basically, everyone overestimated how long the crazy demand would last.
So they ordered tons of parts.
Yeah, huge orders,
Right.
expecting the boom to roll on forever. And then those parts started arriving late, just as things started to cool off.
Oh, perfect storm territory.
Yeah.
All these delayed bikes and parts finally show up, but people aren't quite as desperate to buy anymore.
Exactly right. Late 2022 into 2023, warehouses were suddenly overflowing, demand was softening.
So, math of sales. Discounts everywhere.
Massive discounts. Companies had to shift that inventory, and it put huge financial pressure on everyone. Public, private, didn't matter. Lots of companies ended up deep in debt, just sitting on piles of unsold bikes.
And then, just to make things more complicated, especially in the U.S. tariffs.
Ugh, yes. That 25% tariff on e-bikes and parts from China, that started back in 2018. That was a big deal.
Did that ever go away?
Not entirely. Some exemptions on parts came back in early 2023, but complete bikes still hit with the duties. It made planning, let's just say it made forecasting and pricing a real headache.
I remember Rad Power Bikes being quite loud about that.
They were. Their CEO, Phil Molyneux, talked about how the inconsistency just added this layer of volatility. You couldn't reliably price things or plan long term, just another external pressure point.
But it wasn't all external, was it? I mean, the reasons people were buying also seemed to change.
That's a really key point. That initial surge, a lot of it was commuting, right? People avoiding public transport.
Makes sense.
But then remote work stuck around for a lot of people, so that primary driver, it faded a bit. A 2023 survey, I think it was NPD Group, found a shift.
To what?
Fun, fitness, recreation. Those became the top reasons. Less about practical transport, more about leisure and exercise.
Interesting. So the type of e-bike people wanted might have shifted too?
It seems like it, and that led to a kind of split in the market. You saw some of the higher-end brands maybe focused on sleek urban commuters or performance bikes. VanMoof, Stromer, even Specialized to some extent, they started struggling a bit more.
Because their target customer wasn't buying as much. Or the bikes were too expensive now.
Probably a bit of both. falling demand, plus they likely had big inventories of these pricier models.
Well, budget ends.
Did better, generally.
Hmm.
Companies like Lectric, Ride and Up, Aventon focused on affordability, accessibility. They seem to tap into that recreational market more effectively. People wanting fun without necessarily the premium price tag.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
And then there's the whole regulatory side. That still feels messy, especially in the U.S.
It is pretty fragmented. You've got the 3-class system, Class 1 pedal assist, Class 2 throttle, Class 3 faster assist, which sounds clear.
But it's different everywhere.
But state and local rules vary wildly. It causes a lot of confusion for buyers, for shops, and then you had things like the New York City crackdown.
The delivery bikes and the battery fires.
Exactly. That really spotlighted the safety issue, especially with maybe lower quality, unregulated batteries and chargers.
So more focus on safety standards now.
Definitely. The CPSC, the Consumer Product Safety Commission, they've been pushing for UL 2849 certification.
Which is?
A specific safety standard for the electrical systems, especially the battery. Some big names like Trek and Giant were already doing it voluntarily, to be fair. They saw the writing on the wall.
And Europe. Is it clearer there?
Generally, yes. They've had stricter rules on motor wattage and speed limits, like the 25-kilometer cap for standard e-bikes, for longer. Anything faster is a speed pedelec with different rules, insurance, helmets.
So more stability, maybe, but potentially less room for pushing performance.
That's the trade-off, yeah.
Yeah.
Regulatory clarity can stabilize a market, but might cap certain kinds of innovation.
Okay, so with all these pressures, supply chains, tariffs, changing demand, safety concerns, it's maybe not shocking we saw some companies really stumble. VanMoof's bankruptcy was huge news.
It really was. They'd raised so much money, over $180 million. But reports point to, well, financial mismanagement, major customer service problems, and those inventory issues we talked about.
Is anything left for the people who bought their bikes?
McLaren Applied bought the intellectual property, and they've pledged to keep software support going, which is something at least.
And Rad Power Bikes. Not bankrupt, but big changes there too.
Right. Significant layoffs, pulling out of Europe entirely, stopping their mobile in-house service. Those are big adjustments. Plus, they've faced lawsuits and recalls. It all points to how tough things got.
Even established names felt the pinch. Flyer from Radio Flyer jumped in and then jumped up pretty quick.
Yeah, they launched in 2021 and were gone by 2024, cited market saturation. It just shows how crowded and competitive it became almost overnight.
And we saw others changing strategy, right? Like Super 73 juiced bikes.
Yeah.
Moving away from only selling online.
Exactly. Shifting more towards using dealers. It suggests maybe that pure direct-to-consumer model has its limits for something like an e-bike where local service and support really matter to people.
Okay, but it wasn't all doom and gloom. The report highlights companies that actually navigated this really well, thrived even.
Absolutely. And this is where it gets interesting. Look at a company like Gazelle.
A Dutch brand.
That's the one. Their history is incredible. Founded in 1892, they've made over 16 million bikes. They've survived wars, depressions, pandemics. They know how to weather a storm.
Wow. 1892.
And now they're part of Pawn Holdings,
Which is?
a huge mobility conglomerate. They own a ton of bike brands: Gazelle, Cervelo, Santa Cruz, Focus, Kalkoff. A really diverse portfolio.
So they have scale, resource.
Big time. And get this, in 2023, Pawn Holdings actually became the world's largest bicycle company by revenue. Bigger than Giant, bigger than Trek.
Seriously, how did they manage that during all this turmoil?
It seems like a mix of smart acquisitions over time, consistent investment in R&D, especially for e-bikes, and really scaling up their manufacturing, both in Europe and Asia. Gazelle's own factory in the Netherlands is apparently state-of-the-art. Robots, automated painting, in-house battery testing.
So investing in quality and efficiency.
Exactly. Their managing director was quoted emphasizing things like ride comfort, durability, energy efficiency, that sort of classic Dutch design focus. It's about long-lasting quality, not just chasing the latest trend.
It sounds like a long game strategy.
It really does, building reliable bikes for the long haul. And their U.S. expansion seems thoughtful too, focusing on dealer support, good after-sales service, pushing those low-maintenance belt-drive bikes.
So Gazelle is a key example, but not the only success story.
No, definitely not. You've got electric e-bikes in the U.S. doing really well with their affordable folding models. Simple shipping, strong support, they found their niche.
Okay.
Specialized is still dominant in high-end performance, especially e-mountain bikes. Giant and Trek, with their massive global networks and diverse lineups, are still major forces.
These established giants.
Right, and brands like Bose or Risa and Mueller in Germany hold strong reputations in the premium segment in Europe. Plus, you can't forget the suppliers like Bafang or Bosch e-bike systems. They're critical.
So if you look at the ones doing well, what's the common thread?
It seems to be really knowing their customer, building resilient supply chains, maybe learning from the recent chaos, and genuinely innovating, but maybe more focused innovation around safety, practical design, reliable performance.
Not just chasing hype.
Exactly. It feels like a focus on sustainable growth, long-term thinking. They learned from the boom and the bust that followed.
So looking back, it really has been quite the journey for e-bikes. That pandemic surge was unlike anything else.
Totally unexpected catalyst.
Followed by all those headwinds, supply chains, tariffs, demand shifts, leading to this big shakeout.
Yep. Some big names stumbled, others showed real resilience.
And Gazelle, under Pawn Holdings, really seems like a case study in that resilience, doesn't it?
Yeah.
That long history, the resources, the focus on fundamentals.
It's a fascinating contrast to some startups that maybe grew too fast, got caught out without that deep foundation. Seeing a century-old company adapt and lead, it says a lot.
Yeah, the value of experience, maybe. And adapting.
Definitely.
So as we look forward now, does it feel like the future is more likely to be shaped by these established players? Less frantic disruption, more steady evolution.
It kind of feels that way, doesn't it? Prioritizing that long-term vision over just, explosive growth. It really makes you think, doesn't it, about what makes companies succeed or fail when an industry goes through such rapid change.
Yeah, what are those core factors for survival and success?
Exactly. And perhaps that's the final thought for you, the listener. When you see industries booming or busting, maybe look beyond the immediate hype. Think about those fundamentals, the strategy, the resilience, the long-term view. The e-bike story offers some really potent lessons there.